Oh, this camera's showing all my little imperfections. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Where I briefly talked about my struggles with lupus and the things that I have to go through on my blog. So if you're not, subscribed to my blog, definitely go check it out. It's going to be in the description box below. And I briefly talked about it, but I feel like there was a lot of things that I wanted to say, but I didn't want people to be sitting up here reading all this. So I was like, why don't I just make, a short video, get everything else out that I would like to say. So don't nobody gotta be reading, because I know me, I wouldn't read all that either. So I'm just gonna get everything else out and start back from the beginning to where I am now. So, and if I keep looking down, it's because I wrote some stuff down thanks to my best friend Grace for this book that she got me, which I think she got me this for Christmas, I want to say. I think it was for Christmas. I don't know. She got me this book. Shout out to my friend Grace. So, yeah. So, when I was about 12 or 11-ish, I noticed that I had this red spot in my head. It was about the size of a pea. And I wasn't thinking anything of it. I showed my mom, and my mom thought that it was because that I was getting braids. So at the time I played basketball, and I would get the straight backs. If I can find a picture of me with the straight backs, I'll insert it. But I don't know. I have to ask my mom and see if she has some pictures, because I don't think I have any. But yeah, if I can find a picture of me with the straight backs, I'll put it in here. But anywho, so yeah, so I used to get braids all the time, and I used to have this small little red dot in my head. It was the size of a pea, and we just thought it was because the braids was too tight. So I stopped getting braids, but then over the course of a few years, it didn't change. It still was there. So mom was like, okay, maybe it's just a scar on your scalp, because it wasn't growing, it wasn't affecting me, it wasn't doing anything. So I'm like, if it's not bothering me, I'm not gonna bother it. So I just kept going on about my life and didn't really think about it. It really didn't become an issue until I went to college. So when I went to college, within the first year of me going to college, it grew from the size of a pea to the size of a quarter. Now, to me, that was dramatic, because from 12 years old to when I went to college at 17, it didn't grow at all. So I'm like, something happened, something changed. I don't know what the heck happened. So I ended up going to my dermatologist back in Michigan, where I'm from, because I went to school in Indiana, so it was just a 3-hour drive to go to Michigan. So I went to a dermatologist back in Michigan, and they looked at my scalp, and they're like, I don't know what it is. And they was like, it could either be two things. It could either be alopecia or lupus. So in order for them to determine what it was, they had to do a biopsy. So I get the biopsy done, get the results, and come to find out it was lupus. Now, when they first told me, I was like, how I have lupus? I thought that lupus affected your internal organs, and that your organs were attacking themselves. I never knew that another form of lupus was dealing with your skin, which kind of made me feel stupid, because at the time I was going to school for biomedical engineering, so I was learning about the organs and stuff like that. So I knew that your skin is your largest organ. So I guess I just never thought, hey, maybe you can be affected by your skin from lupus too. I never thought about it. So when they first told me, I was kind of like I didn't believe them at first. I was like, I don't have lupus. Don't tell me I have lupus. I have alopecia or something else going on. So when I first found out, I kind of didn't believe it, because to me it just didn't make sense. I'm like, how I have lupus? I'm like, I'm fine. I don't really feel sick. So in order to prevent my hair from thinning and getting worse, and mind you, I didn't mention that the spot that was red in my head and the spot that grew to a quarter, I didn't have any hair there. I was completely bald in that spot. So in order to prevent it from spreading, I would go to the dermatologist every time I went home on a break, and I would get injections in my scalp. Now, the injections, they didn't really hurt. I think I really have a high pain tolerance compared to other people, but the injections really didn't hurt at all. It kind of just felt like somebody was pinching you, but not really. It didn't really hurt at all. So when I got the injections, I would get them maybe every 3 to 4 months, and it really never made a difference. I never like grew smaller, never grew bigger. Like it didn't really do anything for me. So I just felt like it was a waste of time. So I've stopped getting it. And they also gave me like a topical cream to put on my scalp when I was away at school, because obviously I couldn't go home to get the injections. So I would do that, but still it just wasn't doing anything. And because it wasn't doing anything, I don't know why I thought like it's not doing anything. So obviously I don't have lupus. So why I had that mindset, I think I was just in denial. I think that's really what it was. So from my freshman year to my senior year, the spot grew from a size of a quarter to like the size of almost like a grapefruit. Like about this much ish of my hair was completely gone in my scalp. And it's right here. Like right here in my scalp, I didn't have any hair right here. So when that happened, that freaked me out. And I think the reason why it grew so big from my freshman year to my senior year is because I was so stressed out. And when I went to college, that was the first time I had ever experienced stress in my life. And I never knew the effects that stress could really have on the body until I went to college. And I'm just like what the hell? So it ended up growing really, really big. So after I graduated college, I ended up moving to California. And when I moved to California, I had to find a new doctor. I'm like, something is like wrong. Like the injections aren't working, this cream not working, nothing is going on. So I'm like, I need to get a second opinion. So when I moved to California in 2015, I went and found another dermatologist. And for some reason, they couldn't find my records from my previous dermatologist in Michigan, so they had to completely do a whole nother biopsy again, which I will say the biopsy didn't hurt either. They just put like a small injection in my scalp just to numb it, and then she took like a scalpel, like drew like a circle and took like a little chunk out, and then they like sewed it back together. It didn't hurt. It really didn't hurt. I didn't feel a thing. So they ended up doing another biopsy, and about a week later, they called me back and they said I had lupus. And I was like, okay, so I guess I really do have lupus. Like a girl got lupus. Okay. But the thing that was different about this time is that I clearly knew that I had to have something, because this spot on my head was completely, it was huge. And it was to the point where like I couldn't even wear a middle part in my scalp anymore, because if I would have wore a middle part, I didn't have any hair all right here. So if I would have wore a middle part, you would just be able to see my bald spot. So you couldn't see anything. I mean, like you would see my bald spot, and nobody wants to see that. Like that's embarrassing. Who the hell wants to walk out of the house looking like that? I know I don't. So I didn't wear a middle part. And actually the last time I wore a middle part was probably 2014 was the last time I was able to wear a middle part, kind of like finesse a middle part, because I was still bald, but I kind of like moved my hair over a little bit so it didn't look like I didn't have no hair right there, but it wasn't as bad at the time as it was in 2015. So after I got the results back from the dermatologist, she tells me it's lupus. Now, the reason why I love my doctor here is that she knew I was into holistic living, Western medicine, and that I didn't want to be taking a whole bunch of pills. I didn't want to do that. But she was like, why don't we just try, one pill and see what happens? So I end up taking Plaquenil, which is actually, more often than not, it's used to treat people with malaria. And the reasoning behind that is because malaria and lupus, like the symptoms are kind of the same. So you can use like the same medicine to treat two different type of diseases. So that's why she gave me Plaquenil. Now, out of everything I've done for my lupus, I definitely regret ever taking Plaquenil, because it was terrible. It made me so sick. Like I remember the first time I started taking it, about the first month, I was throwing up everywhere. I didn't feel good all the time. I was always so fatigued. And I'm just like, what the hell? Like this is supposed to be making my hair grow back, and instead it's making me feel worse than I was before. And it got so bad though that it was like making my hands, like you guys can kind of see my hands like break out. You can kind of see how it's like crust almost. At one point my whole entire hand looked like that, and this hand. I'll insert some pictures so you guys can see. But yeah, so this is exactly what my hands used to look like. I used to try to put lotion on them because I thought that they were just ashy, but I realized that it wasn't ashy. It was a side effect the Plaquenil I was taking, because I noticed that when I stopped taking the medication, my hands started to heal. So I ended up stopped taking my medication. I would say I took it for like a good year. And it wasn't just like my hands that was affecting. I noticed that my spot, it wasn't getting any smaller. It wasn't growing that much, but it was growing like a little bit. Like I could tell that it grew a little bit. So I was like, yeah, this isn't working. And also it gave me like these blotches on my arm. I don't know if you guys can see like these blotches. I have no idea what this is, but I get it every so often. And I noticed that when I was on the Plaquenil heavy, I would have them like all up and down my arms all the time. So I stopped taking it, and I just was like, you know what, I gotta do something different. I have to do something else, because this is just not gonna work. And at this point in my life, I was so frustrated with my lupus. Like I was so tired of being sick all the time, not being able to wear my hair the way I wanted to, always trying to like hide my hands from people because I didn't want people asking me what's wrong with your hands. And I remember like a few people, I went to like shake their hand, or I had like my hands out or something, they could see it. And I remember, point example, I remember I was at work one time and I was sitting at my desk, and this guy was fixing my computer. And I was kind of leaning on my desk like this, and you could see my whole hand, and he touches my hand. What's wrong with your hand? And I'm just like, first of all, don't touch me. But second of all, why would you ask somebody that? And at that point, I was like so embarrassed because I didn't know what to say. Like, because the thing is, I didn't want to be spreading my business to everybody, so I didn't want to be like, yeah, I have lupus. Like, no, I didn't want to say that to anybody. So I just was like, you know what, whatever. I just ignore him. But so yeah, so that happened. So I knew I had to do something different, and just not being able to find any answers, just not feeling well. Now that I look back on it, I was depressed probably for a good like two and a half months. And it got to the point where I remember one time I didn't go to work for like 3 days in a row, literally because I just couldn't get out the bed. Like I was just depressed. Like I had no motivation to go anywhere or to do anything. I didn't want to leave my house. I didn't want to leave my bed because I was just depressed. So after I got in that state, I was like, I have to do something else. So that's when I started researching. I'm like, there has to be something else that I could do. And I remember I went to go talk to my doctor, and I was like, there has to be something else we could do. And I told her, I'm like, look, I'm not taking this medicine because it makes me feel a lot worse than when I don't take it. So she was like, you know what? Instead of us doing the medicine, because you tried it, why don't you try to change your diet? And I was looking at her, I was like, my diet? Like, that's not gonna really do anything. What are you talking about? Until I actually tried it, okay? So I would say I never knew the effects that diet has on you until I changed my diet. Because once I changed my diet, I noticed that I felt 10 times better than I felt before. And my scalp went from like this size to now it's almost like this size, okay? Mind you, that's just from changing my diet. That's not taking any kind of other medicines or even just like adding like weird stuff or nothing. It's literally, I just went from a diet where I mostly only ate chicken and fish to now I have a vegan / anti-inflammatory diet. I'll get more into that later. But yeah, so she suggested that I change my diet, and I would say within like 3 or 4 months, my hands were started to clear up. You can see my right hand is about 100% clear, and this is about like 8 months-ish of completely eating, like not eating meat or dairy or anything like that. My hands is completely healed. This hand is almost there. My left hand was always, out of both of my hands, my left hand was always the worst hand. So yeah, But the major thing is I noticed I have a lot more energy. The depression completely went away. I'm very motivated now, and it's just completely different. So that's honestly why I'm here, because I want to share with others what just changing my diet did for me. And I'm hoping that with this platform, I can share, what I ate and how I transitioned and how I got to where I am today with everyone, so that we all can, be the best version of ourselves, the healthiest version of ourselves. Because it really is the key to success. Like, what you eat and what you do, it really is the key to success. So yeah, that is my lupus story. That's how I found out. And yes, does it suck? Yes. Do I have bad days? Yes. Do I have good days? Yes. But I just try to take it one step at a time. I try to do as much research as I can, try to learn as much as I can, because I'm starting to learn that food really is medicine, and a lot of things that we eat really do have an effect on how our body reacts. And that's the whole reason why now I'm transitioning from a vegan diet to an anti-inflammatory diet. Because even though I was, not eating any dairy or animal products or any type of meat, just because it says vegan doesn't mean it's healthy for you. And there are a lot of things that we eat that can cause inflammation, which what lupus is, causes inflammation. So if I can remove the inflammation from my body, I can make myself feel better. So once I put those two and two together, your girl is good now. So I am right now in the process of transitioning from a vegan diet to an anti-inflammatory diet. I don't believe that you should ever just one day, oh, I'm gonna be a vegan, oh, I'm gonna stop. No, you should take your time and slowly transition into what you want to do, because I'm noticing that when I slowly, gradually eliminate stuff, it's easier for me not to crave it anymore or want to buy it anymore or want it at all. But I notice when I drastically take something out, then I want to eat the whole bag. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely will say that transitioning is key. So I will be making a video on how exactly I transitioned, so that I can let you guys know, just in case if you guys want to try it and do it the way that I did it. It's really, really easy. And make sure you check out my blog. The link will be below. On my blog, I have health, just talking about my updates with my lupus. I have recipes, food that I eat, and I have beauty, because people are always asking me about my skin and what I do to make it stay looking good and clear, even though I got a few people that decided to show up today. Anywho, but yeah, for the most part, yeah, it stays pretty clear. So yeah, so I'll be talking about my skincare and what I do for my skin and stuff, so make sure you guys stay tuned. And yeah, so this is just about to be a long journey, so I hope that you guys will come along with me. If there's anything that you want to know, you have any questions, make sure you just leave them below, or you can go onto my blog, comment on my blog. If there's any other videos you would like to see from me or anything you want to do, just let me know. Until next time, bye guys. It was built in 1887. It's home to one of America's largest buildings. Come on guys, you gotta come check this out.